here in the U.S., the sound of training would take place all day long. We were going to train 186,000 flight crew members. This would be the sound that you would hear as the trainers, the bombers, the transports, and the fighters would take off, circling the pattern hour after hour. If you got up in the morning and you turned your Philco radio on, you let the tubes warm up, the music came up to speed, this may be what you heard next.
Yeah! In the mood.
We are celebrating the 75th anniversary of the unveiling of the B-17. It was 1935 when it came off the assembly line in the experimental category called the X-299. After a 2-year test period, it was delivered to Langley Air Force Base in 1937. The World War II, July 4th of 1942, that the first of the American B-17s arrived in England. That was the Mighty Eighth, they called it, and that was to begin the devastating daylight suicide raids on the enemy's territory, deep into enemy territory, before fighter coverage. When the Flying Fortress, the B-17, and the B-24s would take off in groups of 20, 40, 60, 80, 200, 500, and sometimes the classic 1,000-plane raids would take their aircraft during daylight hours deep into enemy territory and hope to return. Before fighter coverage, many of the planes did not come back. In fact, there were 4,750 of the B-17s alone that were lost. For every one of the B-17s, 9 to 10 crew members on board. Some never came back from their first mission. One of the great secret weapons we had during World War II with the B-17s and the 4-engine B-24s was the Norden bomb sight. Precision bomb sight that was invented by Carl Lucas Norden and allowed us, through the bombardier lighting up his crosshairs, to be able to get our bombs on target. Now, with the fuel load that the B-17s had, they were only carrying about 5,000 pounds of bombs in relation to the 17,000 they could carry if they had a lighter fuel load. It is said that 12,731 of these bombers were built around the globe today. To the best of our knowledge, there are about 19 that fly or that can fly. A very expensive spar replacement and modification program. As the bomb bay doors are open, get ready as they get ready to pepper the target. Expensive modification of the spar led many of the owners to put their B-17s into museums. Direct hit, second B-17. This is the sentimental journey named after a song of the same time period. Gonna take a sentimental journey on a B-17 air kit. Oh, right! Prince Gibson! I told you he was an award winner. Can you feel the ground shake when he did? That's just a little bit. That's not all that they have. All right, the bombers now getting around will come towards us. And we'll give you, as the sky clears, at the 50th anniversary of the unveiling of the B-17s, there was a gathering in Seattle, home of Boeing. Boeing invited all of the B-17 operators to converge there, and they went around the country and offered to bring in every B-17 crew member who could make it. There was a man there who was not part of that observation other than an observer. His name was Ivan Fail. Ivan was so taken by the ceremony of that 50-year celebration and the men who flew these B-17s that he wrote this poem. and I'll ask you to listen. It is about the B-17. It's called Tribute to the Queen. From Guadalcanal and the Philippines at the start of World War II to the hostile skies in Europe, through miles of flak she flew. At home at 30,000, majestic as a queen, a silver bird flown by men, many in their teens. She carried war to the tyrant's lair to keep all nations free. She flew through flak and flame as far as eyes could see. She slugged it out with Hitler's best, brought her dead and wounded home. Damaged and with engines out, it was oftentimes alone. Born of war but seeking peace, she carried valiant men into the very jaws of death and brought them home again. Berlin, Frankfurt, and countless others, courageous daylight raids, and only God in heaven knows the awesome price she paid. She met death at 30,000 or on a treetop run, a victim of ack-ack shell or Luftwaffe fighter gun. Like all the men who flew her, for peace and hope she yearned, but all too often mission boards would read, failure to return. Often plane and crew went down in a hostile place. Others were missing in action and lost without a trace. Her era is in the past, but the history that she's made must always be remembered and never be betrayed. Generations have come and gone, enjoyed their hopes and dreams, yet never paused in gratitude to this aging Silver Queen. And the men who flew her, heroes everyone, who stood between our nation's shore and the tyrant's mighty guns. Yet she's tired and weary, a little aged and worn, but she fought and bought their freedom before many of them were born. And we who still remember Tojo and Hitler's dreams stand a little prouder in the presence of the Queen. Bombs away! The B-17 crew members, as we are presenting to you here at Dayton, probably around 25% of the actively flying B-17s in the United States of America. One is great at any air show, but two, it is too much to hope for. You put those two B-17s in the air with Rich Gibson and Rich's incredible pyro, the award-winning pyro team from Rockford, Illinois, and his entire crew, and his award-winning wife, Dee Gibson, and you've got the ability to bomb a friendly airport and not go to the slammer. Rob Ryder, that's freedom.
Yes, indeed.
Where else could you do that in America but at an air show?
Only at an air show. You know, this is one of the places that we can wave the flag as well.